Hi, my name is Autrelle Holland. I was born in Cleveland, Ohio, and I currently work as a DJ.
Okay. So, my main question here, what were some of your most memorable events at Club 5? What sticks out?
Wow, what sticks out?
Any specific stories?
The thing about that whole time was that nothing was played out. You know what I mean? Like if you heard like an ODB song, it just came out. Like everything was really new and fun. So going out was kind of different. So what really stuck out was just how casual, how normal it was for this place to be like a place just to really want to be at. For example, the ladies' night. Where it is now in 5 Points. I used to, when I first worked there, I worked there twice. And the first time I worked, I worked the door a lot, and I would check IDs. And I got really good at that. It's kind of funny. But the line for the ladies' night on the Thursday would wrap around the block. Straight up. Like after like 500 people, that was it. And then there'd just be a line down the street just to go to Club 5. And it was just an open, it wasn't like something weird was happening, like there was a show. It was just a regular Thursday night, you know. And the DJ Jeremy, J Mac, if he sees this, yeah. There were a lot of DJs there at the time that, you know, put a lot of work into that. There's Jeremy, there was Daryl Duke, Jim Rockenbach, of course. A lot of Jim Rockenbach, a lot of Daryl, and a lot of, especially Jeremy though, J-Mac. What was different about that then, two things that stick out, you know what I mean, was what a DJ did. I mean, he was a resident DJ for Club 5 all week. So it wasn't like you see now where like a DJ might be there on a certain night, or he might be there for an hour on a certain night, or him and his friends are like all doing a thing. He DJ'd that place every night of the week. Straight up, on vinyl, you know what I mean? And he really did a lot of great work, you know? He was one of the main, you know, things there. So it wasn't like it was now where it wasn't, you know, just more about the venue. He was really a component of that. So I have to say that too, you know? Lying around the block every week, you know? And it wasn't like a certain style, like, which always stood out. Because again, 5 Points was, and today it's a little different, and I'm not against the change, you know what I mean? Like, change comes, and it's kind of same but different. But back then, you know, the club really reflected it. Like, you go to a club now, or a bar now, and it's kind of a certain type, you know what I mean? Or a certain type of music, or a certain way, or whatever. And Club 5 was wild. Like, it was just like the DJing was open format. Jeremy was a really great electronic music DJ. He knew all this stuff. But he was also a very classic DJ. He understood open format. He understood what it took to really, you know, beyond like what he wanted to do, what it took to keep this place going. I mean, again, lying around the block. And I checked the IDs. I saw the same people every week. And new people every week. And they were just trying to be in there. And it was all kinds of people. That was the point. Like, very diverse. Again, this was 5 Points, Riverside. You know what I mean? You had like the goth people would come out. I'm telling you, you had like the West Side Hood Rats would come out. All the Riverside homies would come out. People from the South Side would come out. The Richies, the broke people that never had no money. And they would all come out because we had something for everybody. You know what I mean? Whether you're into like whatever, at the time it was like breaks and house music. And right before drum and bass really came out, right when it was coming out, and Club 5 was playing drum and bass. And it was a thing, and you understood that. You know what I mean? You would come for, and you would hear Brass Monkey and all the little stuff in between. And at the end of the night, it was like a rave. You know what I mean? Like straight up. And it was wild, but that was just like how it was every week, so you got kind of normalized to it. I was just like, okay, we're doing it again, you know? So that was one of the main things that stood out, was just that it was a lot more, I guess, dynamic and expressive in terms of like what you could expect when you went out. Was it the best thing in Jacksonville? I'm not trying to say that it was all that, you know what I mean? I'm just saying that it was a real thing, and it was way different than it was like going to a club nowadays, you know? And it was really cool, like really cool. In terms of like sheer anecdote, wow, we saw so much. I mean, there were shows and, you know, performances, and just, you know, if something happened one day, like working security there was nuts. Like we always knew in a full moon, it was gonna be crazy. You know what I mean? And this is how it was. And let's not talk about those stories, but at the time I met a bunch of really cool people that were also very talented martial artists and went on to do like interesting things. I don't know if people remember James that went on to open Universal Superheroes, the comic shop on Park Street now. He's not there anymore, but that was his thing. Cliff, everyone knows Cliff. Mark, who has a bail bonds company now, you know what I mean? There was some really interesting people that were doing interesting things at the time. And on the side, we were like bouncing or DJing or whatever. It was weird. But I would have to say Saturday Night Seduction. Everyone still remembers that. That was crazy. I mean, Raven and Blix, Jay and Colleen, right? And then the host, what was her name? I can't believe I'm forgetting her name right now. But the host, that was from, I had never seen anything like that in my life. And I went to like an alternative, like high school DA or whatever, and they had the goth kids. And you're like, oh, okay, that's all. You're just wearing the makeup, you know? Like, it wasn't as scary as you, until you met like the real goths, you know what I mean? But Saturday Night Seduction was great, because it wasn't even like a goth night. It was just like, and it wasn't like, it was just like, that's just how we partying tonight. And everyone in the same crowd still came out, you know what I mean? And they had the whips and the chains and the fish hooks and the fire and the candle. I'm telling you, like the whole nine. People getting hung from hooks from the ceiling and stuff like that, and getting kicked and all that. You know what I mean? It was just weird. It was, and really pushing it, like the drag shows, everything. And the same people came out. It wasn't like it is now, where like if you wanted to see a drag show, you have to go to like the drag club, or if you wanted to like hear like electronic music, you got to wait, you know, till the 15th for so and so to come in, then pay $40 and you might die, you know, and all of that. Now you just go to Club 5. They had the fights in the club, the Friday night fights. I was there when that started too. And that was crazy, because then you got to see a lot of the people that like to fight. And a lot of the martial artists come out. So, I mean, they really tried to do a lot. I mean, it was a real spectacle. You know what I mean? Like, the people that were in there were trying to do it all. Like, they were really trying to do everything they could with that space. And it was cool. You know what I mean? It was interesting. Like, it definitely wasn't like it wasn't set up for just like a person to come in, you know, put a playlist on and then just hope for the best. You know, it was really set up to, you know, create this sort of, I guess, nexus point, you know what I mean? Where you'd have this idea of something that was supposed to be beyond expectation, you know, that you would try. I'm not saying it was like, woo, blow your mind, but you have this idea, like I have this great idea, and we have this great opportunity to do it in this great space, and let's connect it. And we're in Riverside, we're in 5 Points, let's just keep it weird. Just stay weird with it. You know, like keep it fresh, keep it on whatever. So you would go there, and like again, everyone came out. The hip hop kids came out, and they would b-boy there. All of it. I mean, it was for everyone. You know what I mean? It wasn't some type of way. You know, there's a few places that are like that now. And a few DJs that are like that now. But if you want to just talk about just Club 5, it was definitely on some Riverside action. You know what I mean? In terms of like, nothing like that was happening anywhere else in Jacksonville. You know what I mean? It just seemed like something that you could only get in Riverside, 5 Points at the time specifically. You know what I mean? Like, there's nothing else like that in Jacksonville. Closest thing I would say to that right now, and this is a true statement, and it's true twice, because they've been consistently like diverse and you know, as weird as possible, and always aim for quality and to kind of exceed expectations, is the Eclipse. I don't know if you've ever been there yet, or in St. John's or whatever. And the DJs there, same era, they get it. You know what I mean? Open format in terms of like, it's not about doing a certain type of night. You know what I mean? You can do that, but at the same time, it's about a certain type of atmosphere. You know, if you show up at like 9 o'clock, why are you gonna hang out all night? And they make that happen, you know what I mean? If you show up at 10 o'clock, why are you gonna walk in and stay? What's happening right now? If you show up at midnight, it should be like, you know, whatever. So it's just, but, you know, I saw George Clinton there, David Lee Roth, so many shows. Shorty and Faust DJ shows. I saw so many turntable competitions. A lot of rap shows. I saw. I fought a couple of times too in the fighting things there. I saw a lot of. They used to host a lot of martial arts tournaments there at Club 5. So you would go there like during the day, and they'd have visiting schools, and you could see a lot of the fights and stuff like that too. And that was really cool. I mean, they did all kinds of stuff there. They tried to make it. I mean, it was a club. Don't get me wrong. Do not. It wasn't like a rec center, like this community thing, and everyone was real nice or whatever. Like it was kind of grimy too. You know what I mean? But at the same time, they would try to do more than just like club stuff. You know what I mean? And they did fundraisers and all that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? But it was overall just like nothing like it now. There's nothing like it now. You know, closest thing to it I'd say is Eclipse, straight up. Nothing against the other clubs that are more bigger or whatever, but like, no, Eclipse is. I think Eclipse right now is probably the closest thing you get to like if you went to Club 5 back in that day and you saw what they were doing then, you know. But yeah, it just made no sense. It was madness. No, when I'm telling you that, imagine that you're in a place the size of Saturday Night Theater, right? Because you've been inside now, right? And it's packed, right? And the setup is, because now you don't know how it's set up, I can describe that to you. Where there's chairs now, there were no chairs, okay? And where you would walk in, that used to be open, okay? So there wasn't a wall there. And where the concession stand is, that's where the bar was at. And so basically what would happen is you would walk up the stairs on the entrance, so that was the thing, right? And the main bar was right there at the top, and then you would walk down different levels of the club, and then the main part in front of where the screen is at, and there's some chairs there too over, that was the huge dance floor. And then you would hang out along the sides, and they had like jump boxes for GoGo Dancers. I mean, they had GoGo Dancers. I'm not going to say their names, but people have made that. No, I mean, not everyone wants you to know they're a GoGo Dancer at Club 5, I guess. I don't know. You know what I mean? But, I mean, that place was wild, the GoGo Dancers. I'm thinking about, again, I work security there, so if I say GoGo Dancers, there was a time that we threw a guy out for harassing the GoGo Dancer, and it was just a wild story. But anyway, huge place, packed. And then there's a line around the block to get in here. And it's only Thursday. And it's only 10:30. Sorry, dude. You know what I mean? So and it's ladies' night. So the ladies have all gotten in, no charge, and they're all drinking for free. I mean, it's going on. You know what I mean? And that was in the front room. There was still a back room you could go into. So the front room was like what you'd expect, you know, like. Then you go in the back room, and that's where like we'd be hanging out. It'd be like someone playing some drum and bass, or some hip hop or something like that, or a rap show or something. And for real, and just people were just getting weird in the back, like straight up. Like that's just how it was back in the day. Like drum and bass was always in the back room somewhere in Jacksonville. It was, you know what I mean? And then you go out in the front room, and you might hear like, you know, some breaks or house or whatever towards the end of the night, because I mean windbreakers and everything would just come out, you know what I mean? Like glow was still a thing back then, like glow sticks and all that. That was never not a thing in Jacksonville. People had glow sticks at Club 5. I'm telling you, people would come in with work boots. I mean, whatever style or imagine of dress, you know what I mean? They're at Club 5. Period. You know what I mean? So the only thing you could really compare Club 5 to back in the day was there's two other spots, the Milk Bar and Paradome. Okay, also very classic, iconic buildings downtown. The Milk Bar is where the real ting is now, all right? And so you have to walk downstairs. And they were known for having Old Wave Night on Mondays, okay? And they also had a lot of shows, like a lot of great shows, like a lot. I mean, do your homework on that one, though. That's a whole other day. And then the Paradome was also downtown on Forsyth, and that place was like 8 stories. It was like, you know, it was even like 2 stories tall, whatever, you know, and it had the back patio and everything. And they were wild. And that was just like in our little area. Like you go downtown Riverside, like again, Eclipse was open, boom, boom, you've hit a few spots already. You haven't gone to a single bar, you've hit some clubs, like clubs. Not a bar, not like a venue, like a straight club. Like you're only here for this and that's it. There's a DJ, there's some music, there's a drink special, and if you get into a fight, you're gonna get hit with a spin kick. You know what I mean? Like, or the cops are, I mean, that's how it was. I mean, it was different. Like, everything was more dynamic. So there was a lot more everything, a lot more, the music was weird. We would fight more. It was weird. I'm just being, I mean, it was a different time. But that was it, though. I mean, you had to have real energy. You had to be really dynamic because that was your competition. Because back then, every day of the week you could do something. And it was just as popping. You just had to know where to go. Like the Milk Bar was the Monday. Oh Wait Night, just like I just described Club 5 on a Thursday, ladies' night, that was Milk Bar on Monday. Everyone had a spot they know you could go to. I forget what the Tuesday spot was. I know Eclipse was in there Tuesday or Wednesday or something. Like they had a spot too. And then Thursday, Club 5 had them, because you just come to 5 Points, get in that line. And then Fridays and Saturdays, we always did good. I mean, those were like so competitive. I mean, they're still competitive, you know, anywhere you go in Jacksonville. Like if you have to be really not trying. If you have a venue or a club and you're not doing your best to be competitive in that regard on a Friday or Saturday in Jacksonville. But beyond that, there was a real scene that you can expect to go to. Again, another place, the Voodoo Lounge, right? Because that's where we would go on Sundays, right? And I'm gonna give him a shout out because that was Patrick Evans, right? A great musician who's still here in Jacksonville, and also Peyton Rock, DJ Therapy, and he held out in the back room, right? So you had Sundays, Mondays, you know, Tuesday and Wednesday, I forget what they were, but we would tear it up somewhere. And then pretty much as far as we were concerned, you know, we owned Thursdays, we did. Thursdays were tight, you know what I mean, at Club 5. And then Fridays and Saturdays, we were always busy. We were only open those 3 days. That's all we had to do. Straight up. We didn't have to open Monday for like something and do a trivia night. And I'm not knocking people that do that, but we didn't do, I mean, as big as that place was, it was closed. Unless it was a club night, or unless we had a special show that night or whatever, nah. We did other stuff during the week, straight up. It was closed. That was, unless you were like the head of security, you know, one of the main bartenders, you know, the owner, these people I got to see all on the regular. You know, whoever the owner was at the time, head of security, you know, main bartender, or one of the admin, you weren't in there every day. It was closed. They were open 3 days a week. And they just make their money. Right? I saw your face and you're like, huh? Like, yeah, it wasn't like nowadays, every place is like, they're trying to be like, okay, we got to open at like 9 o'clock in the morning. And we got to sell omelets. We got to do whatever it takes. Not Club 5. They didn't do any of that stuff. Straight up. They're just like, whatever. Lock the doors. We need a break. Did you see what happened this weekend? Yeah, I mean, so it was just, that's how it was though. It was pretty interesting. It was, people went out, you know, and then people had things to do when they went out. So yeah, it was wild though. I mean, just a wild time in Jacksonville in general. You go out, you'd expect to see wild stuff, and you'd hope it was wild, and you just go with all your friends, and that was it, you know. And it was cool times. But yeah, it was definitely. That's the main thing I would say about it in terms of like, not so much the building, but like the energy and anecdotes. It was just a different time and different rules were at play, you know, like the resident DJ. I mean, he was there all week, you know. When I say, you know what I mean, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, that was it. And you knew what time it was. And there wasn't like this, well, can he play, whatever? You couldn't even talk to him. And not because like you weren't allowed to, he was in the booth. Like where the projector screen is at now, that's where the DJ booth is at, right? He'd be up there at the turntables, and you had to really know a person to be up in there, like real homies, you know what I mean? Like straight up.
Seems like Club 5 was a great place to be. Why did it close then?
Club owners can be weird people, you know what I mean? And, you know, I witnessed a lot of, you know, there's a lot of, it's a cutthroat industry, again, competitive, you know, and then they're just people also, you know. I won't talk about it too much here, but if you look up, like Bruce Chambers, right, one of the last owners, you know, he met an unexpected demise, you know, while he was running Club 5. You know, just, stuff just happens, you know what I mean? But, again, you're talking about an entertainment industry, and that can be fickle. And some things you have to be willing to be adaptable, and then some things you have to, look at it like, is this just a vanity project and I want to do it my way? Am I really trying to entertain? Like, who's my crowd? Who's coming out? And then, if people grow up and they don't go out anymore, who's going out? Are you appealing to them? Or are you trying to like keep your old crowd out, come out? And then how do you even do that? So there's really no real answer to that, I think, in terms of like, why exactly? It's probably one of those like cookie cutter answers, like there was more money, going out than coming in at the end of the day, which means that either the idea wasn't as successful as they thought it was at first, or the model changed. You know what I mean? Like, that's probably just the gist of it,
But it did stay open pretty long for a club, so.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so was there ever, like, did it ever get violent other than the fight nights?
Yeah, all the time. Again, I worked security there. And when I say violent, like, really violent. And I mean, I never saw a gun, but we did see weapons, and we would have to, like, it would be multiple people getting involved, and we would and then we just got out of hand sometimes, like, straight up. I mean, a lot of us, I do martial arts, and a lot of people there were, like, really talented martial artists, just on our days off, just trying to earn an honest dollar. And back in that day, like, people notice about Club 5, so this isn't too much of an exaggeration to say, but we would just put on clinics. You know what I mean? Like, if you act up at Club 5, when I say spin kick, I wasn't exaggerating. Like, you would catch a real technique. I'm trying to think if there's something I feel comfortable even speaking on, other than, like, the vagaries of it, I saw one thing one time, I won't tell you the details, but it was really awkward. Like, a woman went out to another bar, and she happened to be dating our head of security, right? And she went to another bar, and some guy there, like, disrespected her, like, put his hands on her or something like that, and she came back, like, up. I didn't know what would have happened. All I know is she came in crying, and I was like, ooh, that's a bad look already, And I was like, and that's my homie, I'll say his name. I won't say his name, but he was one of my best friends, and I was like, hey, man. It was head of security. I go, hey, man, what's up? He goes, just 1 second, Autrelle. I was like, all right. And he was like, all right, come here. I go, what's up? And he had this uncanny idea about the psychology of, like, people like that, And he goes, listen, here's the deal. Again, this is after work. Club 5's closed, whatever, so I'm just not going to say any names, but I'll tell you a little bit about it. He goes, listen. I go, hey, this is downtown, so I won't say where he was at either. I go, we going downtown or what? We would just come right to you. You know what I mean? Like delivery. Like, you ordered a pizza, like 5-star. Like, if you wanted pizza, you got it. Like, are we going downtown or what? He was like, nah, that's his turf. We're not going to do that. He goes, but I got this weird feeling that he's going to come around here and try to tell his side of the story. And I was like, uh-huh. And he goes, and that's where you come in, Autrelle. And I'm like, all right, what am I doing? And he goes, I need you to just make sure that no one else interferes. And I was like, fair enough. You know what I mean? 5 minutes later, not even 5 minutes later, because we had to, do a walk and clean the streets up from the fires, stuff like that, because they hit the fires, and if it was trash, it was up to us to, like, pick it up. 5 minutes later, 2 minutes later, Mark, or whatever, hey, man, he's out here. My dude ran outside real quick, took off his boots, like barefoot, right? Rolled up his Jinkos back in the day, right? Ran up on dude, and we all ran outside like, uh-oh, because we didn't know what was happening. So we all ran outside. So it's all of us, right? So now let me try to describe what's happening here. There's 8 of us, right? The Club 5 security staff, self included, right? And our head of security is going to show us what happens when you disrespect his woman. He spun this dude around like a... It was so funny. The guy had dreads, and at one point the guy was trying to run. He was like, I got it, because you realize that, like, all right, I'm not getting jumped, but I'm just getting beat up and no one's helping me. I mean, this is right in the street, right there on Margaret, behind the Saturday Night Theater now, like in front of Hovan, between like Hovan and where Wall Street is at. We're out in the street just posted up, circle of like 8 of us, just watching this guy just beat up. And his girlfriend screaming like, "What are you?" He's like, "I got this." And he's just like transforming this dude into something that he wasn't before, you know? And I was like, oh man, this is savage. And we're all just like taking notes. But then the guy tried to run. He was like, "I'm getting out of here." He jumped up to run. Head security guy, he's tall, them long Arsenio Hall arms, like from the 80s, them 80s arms. He just reached out, grabbed him by his dreads, and just started swinging the guy around. And the guy was kind of bigger, and so he came off the ground. And we were like, oh man, I'd never seen that in my life. So the guy's off his feet, being swung by his dreads, and he didn't let him go. The dreads just came out of his scalp, and he just fall. And we did that. We were like, oh man. And I guess the way that felt is he did it again like 2 or 3 more times in a row. He was like, cool. And he picked him up again and just started swinging him around until the clumps of his hair came out. Like 3 or 4 times. We were like, what? Like, you're taking it too far, man. Then he beat him up some more until he was exhausted. And he's standing over him just like panting because he's out of breath. This is going on for like 10 minutes now. Just a one-sided, like after work, like you touched my girlfriend, like just straight like, just adrenaline just like dump. He's just sitting there panting, and then the guy gets up. And when he gets up, he looks like Barney. Like he's all lumpy and purple. I mean, he's been just changing to something else. And I was like, ooh, you won't do that again, will you? You know? And then right then, I don't know what he was gonna say, but Barney, let's just call him Barney right now. He went to say something. He went to open his mouth like, and he was like, it wasn't time for him to talk yet. Homie just like stuck him right in the mouth again and had like this surge of like rage, like Red Hulk level, and just grabbed him and was just like, he just like freaked out on him. He was just like, my girlfriend go wherever she wants to go. Don't you ever even talk to her that ever again. Like, what's wrong with you? You don't ever even talk to her that then. Once you put your hand, and the whole time he's like, just like, you know, it was just one of those. And I was just like a spanking almost. But it was like an adult and some fists and a face. You know, it was like brutal. And we're still watching, and I'm like, wow, he's really making sure this guy gets the point. Like, he's not just like, you know what I mean? He's just like trying to like crush his soul. And then he stopped. And he was just like, now get out of here. And next time I see you, we're gonna do this again. I was like, whoa, man. And then we didn't go to other clubs for a while. Because we just knew better. We were like, well, we should probably not go anywhere else for a minute because crazy here, then freaked out in this guy, and that's not a good thing, you know. And you know, there was different sides to it though. Like there was like that part, like working security, for example. What we learned real fast was like, never wear your shirt after work. You know what I mean? Don't walk home, get a ride. We never went to Waffle House, ever. Ever. Because yeah, it did get violent, like real violent. And a lot of times they would wait for us to go off work and just jump us. You know what I mean? Or they come back the next week. One time, I fought a couple of cops one time that were off duty, just drunk. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. You have to really be careful. Like you're not supposed to hurt people, you know what I mean? Anyway. But yeah, it was wild. I mean, like, and that's what I mean by wild. Like the cops come in drunk and way wild, and we have to beat the cops up sometimes. That's nuts, right? So yeah, it did get kind of violent. It was weird. It wasn't just patrons. It would be like anything, you know? Anything, just wild. I mean, not just violent. It would just be people drinking too much. They'd pass out in the bathrooms or do too many drugs and just be like seizing. And you're like, what are they doing? It's like, God, and be like, full moon. You know, like straight up. We were just, and you just have to know things. You'd have to know basic CPR, you know, basic signs or whatever. And, you know, and you just knew what you couldn't do. That would just make things worse. Like there are certain things that we wouldn't do. Like straight up, and we just knew like we don't do that. Like you can do all this other shit, but don't do that. You know.
Awesome. That was great. Thank you. So how did the people of Riverside take to Club 5? Were some people really into it? Were some people not into it?
It was, from working at Club 5, you know, people didn't have a problem with it. It was cool. You know what I mean? Like, it was just, you went to Club 5. It was really a part of 5 Points, straight up. Like, it was just as much a part of 5 Points as people think about any other bar that's there right now. Like, if they talk about Root Down or Wall Street, you talked about Club 5, period. It wasn't, you didn't, it almost wasn't a thing. It was just kind of there. Again, you were normalized to that. You know what I mean? It wasn't like, oh, here's this club and it's in your face. That's just how it was. You know what I mean? That's just how it was. It wasn't like, oh man, that line around the block is really annoying, or oh, I'm so tired of hearing about all these shows they're doing. And no, it was a thing, The Club 5, when you think about Club 5, you think about like a lot of clubs, and then you have to think about them in terms of like not so much what was it like when they were around, but what was it like when they weren't around, and then what happened. You know what I mean? Like, from where you're from, you know what that's like when you have a venue that's been around for a while, and then the impact it makes when it's not there. Because you're like, okay, well, now where are we going? Who's jumping on that scene? Who's grabbing this? Is anyone? You know what I mean? Because there's been a lot of scenes here in town where people sort of, I guess the best way to put it is sort of drop the ball. And it's like, you didn't want to just do that at your spot after that place shut down? What's wrong with you? But it's weird how certain scenes can be held by certain venues, and that's it. You know what I mean? People kind of become, what's the word? What's the term? Creatures of habit, right? Or cult of personality, I guess. I don't know. Like, I don't want to go on this side of town and get weird with it. Let me go on this side of town and get weird with it. I don't know. I feel like Riverside right now, again, I'm not against the change, but it's a little sterile. You know what I mean? It's a little vanilla. It's a little, I don't think it's boring. You know what I mean? I don't think it's not diverse. I think it could just be a bit more, or a bit less uptight right now. I know there's some new things that are happening that are trying to like whatever, and I'm like, you can still have some personality, because the people in there have personality, and I think that's kind of what's so cool about Club 5 was you had all this like personality and personalities going in and out of there, Again, you had, between like the GoGo Dancers, the fire performers, the seduction performers, all the different DJs you would see, and the producers, and the different shows, and they had the fight nights. They had, they would do almost, they would just they had this one night, I don't even know what it was called. It was just like a random, like, I think it was on Wednesdays for a minute, because they were doing these Wednesdays, and you could just go in there and just fight. Like the club, it wasn't even like a whole club night. They were just places you just go in there and just like grapple. It was weird. You know what I mean? Like, it was like, what's going on? It's like, we got the ring set up. We're just doing some grappling. And I'm like, so I can just go in and just grapple. They're like, yeah, just come on in and sign up. And I was like, all right. And I just went and just grappled. You know what I mean? They had one night like that where they had like it's like a bikini contest. And so like, you would sign up and it was like a dance off. And if you wanted to like show your bikini, you could do, they didn't care. That was like Wednesday night. And he passed away recently, Lee Barton from Karate Arts, who's been doing martial arts in Jacksonville forever. But he was a huge part, I should definitely shout him out on that. He was a huge part of the fight nights at Club 5 when they started doing that. Rest in peace, what a kind guy. A talented martial artist, expert in many things. He's got a Wikipedia page he earned, like his work with the nunchucks alone, like groundbreaking, like literally groundbreaking. Not just good at something, he did something that no one else was doing. It was really great. And, that's where I met him. And it was cool because, when I met him, I used to work there at the time. I did like a grappling thing there. He was like, oh, or it was a boxing thing there. He goes, that's cool, man, good job. And then he opened up his actual school to me. You know what I mean? And for a while, I sublet from him, and I would teach my martial arts, you know, from his school in Mandarin at Karate Arts. You know what I mean? Or not Mandarin, he was in Arlington. So again, like, you know, Club 5 was a lot of things, you know. I mean, that's how I met Lee Barton. You know, and I had a personal rapport with him through that. You know, just meeting him through that. I probably wouldn't have ever crossed paths with him, you know, ever, you know, if it weren't for that. You know, and I got to really, you know him kind of well, and rest in peace. He was a great guy. He was really kind to me, you know. Great martial arts. He's definitely a huge part of what was going on at Club 5 at the end. You know, the fight nights when he first started that, he was there. Because they would do the demos. They had all the glow nunchucks and everything, and he got hurt during one of those demos, was the thing. I don't know if you heard about that. He did like a flaming demonstration, and fire got caught on fire. Yeah. So.
You kind of already talked about this, but is there any more for like how you would describe the 5 Points area, like during the time of Club 5?
Okay. I would have to say, like, at that time, it was pretty legit. Like, it was pretty cool. You know, one of the main survivors of everything in 5 Points has been Ed City. You know what I mean? I don't know if you know what Ed City is. You know, her husband Tom passed away, rest in peace, you know, recently, and Ganell's been holding it down. But before that, it was, you know, Ed City, and then Fans and Stoves, and they moved around the corner, so that was kind of weird. And then Curtis, you know, Wolfgang, and Hypnotique, and Satsu. And now he's kind of just put them all into, like, the Wolfgang concept, right? And now he's also got Root Down, his bar. But back then, he had the 3 clothing stores. Like, he was like playing Monopoly in 5 Points. It was funny, you know what I mean? And then you had Club 5, you had the Wendy's. You know, it was pretty cool. Like, to be in 5 Points then, and just to be in Riverside, that was an interesting time, because then, again, you're talking about a time where you go every night of the week. And everyone went out. Like, everyone went out.
Every night.
Not every night, but everyone went out. Like, there wasn't, like, I don't care what kind of friends you had. There was some night they're out. You know what I mean? And the next morning, like, regretting it. You know what I mean? Like, whatever they were into, I don't care if they were, like, indie nerds or, like, hardcore, like, gangster rap, whatever they were, you know, goth night. There was some night of the week where they were, like, the next morning just like, man, we were at so-and-so last night, like, blah, blah. And 5 Points, again, that's just where we were all at. You know what I mean? It was cool, and it was a thing, you know? Man, what else was going on around then? Let me think. Club 5. Because if we didn't go to Club 5, you know, we were working Club 5. So the thing for us was we had to know what was happening, like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, because that's when we would go out. You know what I mean? Wednesday for us, we usually go downtown to Paradome. Sundays, Voodoo Lounge. And then Mondays, we would hit the Milk Bar. You know what I mean? But 5 Points is pretty much, we didn't have to leave 5 Points. You know what I mean? If you're a Riverside person or whatever, you would just hang out in 5, you know, not, it was definitely more interesting, you know. I don't want to say it's less interesting now. I feel like all the supposed weirdness and the kooky allure that people still try to say is Riverside now was based on how it just was then. You know what I mean? Like, then that's just how it was. Now you just kind of like see like, oh, it's supposed to be like blah blah. Like, man, then it just was. And now when you see like, you know, when you see like you know, if you see a brother with like dreads and like a denim jacket, but he put metal studs on him, and he's wearing like some jams, like some cartoon shorts, he's not an anomaly. You know what I mean? He's probably DJing that night somewhere, or he might own a skate shop or something down the street. You know, that's just how Jacksonville used to be. It would be interesting like that. You know, if you see like nowadays, if you see like, you know, someone trying to do some goth swag or whatever, you're like, oh, I didn't. It's like, man, people been worshiping the devil or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, straight up, like, like, witchcraft and all that. I mean, people have been, like, playing with the moon and dressing correctly or however you're supposed to express whatever you're into, and then you bring it right to 5 points. Again, Ed City used to have all the goth stuff there, Ed City. Ed City's always been adapting, you know what I mean? But back in the day, you could Ed City for all your gothic stuff. The makeup, the magazines, the fangs, the fake blood, the hair dye, all of it, head to toe, the t-shirts. If you're a goth and you weren't going to Ed City, you weren't really saving up and working at Publix full-time for any reason at all. I'm telling you. That's how it was. Ed City was like Goth Depot. And it wasn't like, geez, that's just where, they weren't playing like, welcome to Ed City. And you would get everything. If you need to know about goth culture, you go to 5 points real quick and get it. Hippies too, all that, hip hop kids. I mean, yeah, Fusion Cafe. I mean, we would just have rap battles on the street. Someone would just plug in the turntables and be in the back alley, and the free graffiti walls. You get slapped in the face from your art was whack. You get punched. I mean, it wasn't like we were trying to hurt you or you would get killed. But I mean, back then, it was different. Like you had the art nerds, right? And the art nerds didn't fight. They were busy like just being more technical when they would have like more like philosophical banter about like their music or their art. The hip hop heads were like, they would fight you over it. You know what I mean? Because we felt like it was all connected because we were always doing like martial arts and stuff anyways. We were just like, all right, I'm trying to do this graffiti piece, and if you don't like it, don't put your hands on me, just do something better, And they B-boy and all that and everything, and then whatever. And it was always very competitive in that way. You know what I mean? Like, you definitely had to know who was better, or who was best, or, whatnot. It was a real, closer to like, you saw real expressions, I guess, back then of like things like hip hop and whatever you're into. You know what I mean? It was a lot different than you see now. Like nowadays, I see like a confusion or a lack of understanding. Like I said, I work as a DJ right now. And I remember one night I was in 5 points, at Birdie's. I love Birdie's, by the way. I'm at Birdie's and I'm playing and I play and I'm like, man, I'm trying to play some rap. We're in 5 points, you know what I mean? Let's get it. So it was early and I played like an hour straight rap. Everyone's having a great time, right? And about an hour into it, I think like Rock the Bells was playing, like straight up like rap. This woman walked up to me and she was like, hey, what's up? I was like, what's up? And she goes, when you get a chance, you think you could play some hip hop? And I'm like, right. I was just like, no, apparently not. Nope, trying. I had the same idea, but I guess, I mean, like, it's just weird, like, the way, like, understandings change, like, when you try to use the same words or whatever. But yeah, back then, like, you went to hip hop. Back then, again, everything was still new. Nothing was played out. Like, you could still go to an underground hip hop show. And it'd be like the same shows you go to now, but when you got there, like, oh, you heard about this? Oh, and the place would be rickety. You know what I mean? And they would be bumping, you know what I mean? Like, it was still like that. Like, it'd just be someone would get the balls and be like, hey, let's, Club 5 was just a place that was on that, and you could just go. You know what I mean? So everyone was really trying really hard, to do something interesting. And Club 5 was definitely like that club. You know what I mean? Like, if you were really trying to be about something, you had to get them out of the house. You know what I mean? You couldn't just be boring and just take for granted people didn't show up because you had a drink special. You know what I mean? Straight up. Like, straight up. Like, the standards for DJs back then were different. And by different, I mean, I don't want to sound like one of those back then, but mainly because of the technology. I don't want to blame, like, I'm not trying to say that because people have different tastes in music, overall, or the music's changed, but the technology has made the ability to, like, play one song and then the next easier, you know what I mean, than having to buy records and understand how to use 2 turntables and a mixer. You know what I mean? So the technology has been made easier, but people's judgment necessarily hasn't been made easier or improved over time, So you have people that understand, like, okay, Like I get the idea that like this last call, that last call, got it. It's like, yeah, but all of those songs were just kinda, whatever. Or it's everything you just played was on the radio. Why would they come see you if you just sound like everybody else? So, again, so Club 5 wasn't trying to just, like I said, everyone went to Club 5, but it was still unique. You know what I mean? You had to find a way to like be unique and showcase not just, what you thought everyone might like, but your own spin on it. You know what I mean? Like your own brand. Like you had to really like carve your niche, you know what I mean, and really make an audience for yourself. Like I remember when Jeremy wasn't there for a minute, and it was different. Like certain people didn't come out. It was interesting. They're like, he's not here. Like he was there every night. So it was just different. I mean, like we would go to the clubs expecting to like break dance and fight and have to like use all our skills, like do some art or talk slick to a person or jump over something. It wasn't just like you just take it for granted, like, oh yeah, so and so will be there. He'll play whatever we tell him to play, and and just put it, they're open on they have crepes on Thursdays. No, it was again line around the block. You know what I mean? Line around the block. And they just kept it fun, you know what I mean? The 5 points back then, nuts. Like it was, I mean, yeah, it was nuts, straight up. It's crazy.
Would you say that Club 5 influenced 5 Points, or would 5 Points influence Club 5, or just both?
I would say that at the time, Club 5 was definitely like a product of like Riverside culture. You know what I mean? An expression of like Riverside. The same way I feel like Sunray is an expression of Riverside. You know what I mean? In the sense that like you have this building that should either be a club or a theater anyway. So it always kind of like comes back like to haunt us like in one of those iterations, like now it's a wonderful theater, and what's one of the main driving things there, right? The vegan food. You know what I mean? That's so cool. So again, you don't see that influencing 5 Points. You see 5 Points sort of like saying, here's what we need. We need this place where we can go and we can act right, and see good stuff and see some weird, and you see how they do it, they have all the weird, viewings and stuff like that. Like if you compare the two, it's not really that different in terms of like how they're making their appeal and who goes there. Everyone goes to Sunray. You know what I mean? You've seen the line down for like Walking Dead. It goes around the block for Walking Dead shows or whatever. Same thing. I mean, it's supposed to be a thing, And I think that, as long as it's something that, I don't know, I don't want to project anything on it, but I feel like the answer to that question, yeah, it's definitely a product of 5 Points. I feel like, and that's why it's so successful, as it is now. Like other places in 5 Points, I'm not going to say their names, but, and I'm not saying 5 Points doesn't need something different or new or whatever, or that 5 Points isn't supposed to be about something. I've always understood that 5 Points, as long as you act right, come on through. Like, we're not going to be like beachy, like you're from the beach or sour or whatever. Like, as long as you act right, come on through, dog. And let's kick it and do some Dungeons and Dragons or smoke a hookah or something. Whatever it is, you know what I'm saying? Like, blah, blah. I've always felt like 5 Points, it may not be like a total melting pot, but it's definitely a place where like you should feel welcome as long as you act right. You know what I mean? It was never a safe place for skinheads or any of that stuff, straight up. We were just terrible. We would chase you out. We'd beat you the fuck up. I mean, honestly. And I'm not saying like, as a matter of fact, like Riverside, this is not like there's not problems in Riverside. I'm just saying that in 5 Points, and even now, it wasn't no such thing as like they'd be posted up just chilling, like enjoying or having a coffee or whatever. Like that kind of stuff we wasn't with. Other than that, we felt like, and I still felt that way. I was like, just kind of 5 Points. You know what I'm saying? I don't care, just act right. That's all you gotta do. You know what I mean? You ain't gotta be bougie or have some special or the newest or whatever. As long as you acting right, we good. You know, that's kind of how I feel. You know, that's where I'm at with it. You know, that's how I think it is.
Okay. And then last question. So how did Club 5 reflect the city as a whole, like of Jacksonville?
Oh man, listen. Okay, that's a whole different lane. I'm gonna be real with you. I mean, it would be weird to act like it was like the most positive thing in Jacksonville when it wasn't like a negative like stank hole where you would never tell your friends to go there. But it's just a club. You know what I mean? Like, honestly, as a venue and a place to go see a show and experience things, it did the job. You know what I mean? A reflection on Riverside, and definitely an expression of Riverside. A reflection, I would say not bad. You know what I mean? I would say that in this sense, like to this day, if we had a time machine, right, and we went back to like when Club 5 was open, and it's Thursday night, and someone said to me, "Hey man, I'm not from here. I'm just trying to have some fun tonight. What should I do? I got money." I'd be like, "All right, here's what you're gonna do. Go to Club 5." You know what I mean? Like straight up. You know, so I guess in that regard, I don't think it's a bad reflection at all, you know, in terms of club culture. You know what I mean? Absolutely not. I'll say that, you know. It doesn't have to, clubs aren't designed to like save your life or, you know, be like the super important thing, you know. I think Sunray's a great reflection. You know what I mean? I think it's, you know, in terms of like what really matters to people, or it should matter, you know. But, you know, overall, Club 5, not bad. I don't have anything really bad to say about it. It was fun. You know what I mean? We were wild out. Music was always great. Learned a lot about music, about club industry in terms of, again, that's all about music. You know what I mean? Music. You just learn what music drives people. When you're in a club all the time, you know what I mean? Even for a short stint, you can't help but learn something. If all you get is like loss of hearing and liver failure, you didn't learn anything, that's your fault. I'm sorry. You know, that's bad. But yeah, I think that's it, you know. Is that it?
Yeah, that's it.
Cool.
That's one.
Cool.
That was really awesome.
Yeah.
That was phenomenal. You got really